And welcome to the Obsolete Gamer Show. I am very proud and happy to be here with William Watterson, who is the lead voice actor for Lost Planet 3. Um,
Howdy.
yeah, I just want to say, hey, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh yeah, anytime.
Now, I did actually do some research because I like to be informed, and I saw that you did a lot of things before you got into voice acting. Can you tell us just how did you get into just acting, period? Because I know a lot of people are interested about how they get started, and a lot of people have all these expectations. But in your experience, how did it go?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and I'm always reading actors' biographies and interviews and stuff to see how people got where they got. I actually started performing with rock and roll. I was playing bass in rock bands. I lived over in Dublin, Ireland for a while, playing in bands. Then I moved back home to Cleveland, played in a bunch of different bands. And it all just kind of fell apart all at once, and I didn't want to start over in music. But I knew I still wanted to perform. While I was picking up side jobs with bands, I got some jobs as a production assistant, which is like a low-level entry position on a film set. There's a lot of filming going on in Ohio, actually, and more so now. I mean, they did Winter Soldier and Avengers and a bunch of indies and stuff. But anyway, so I had enough of a resume to get work in LA, and I had a friend who needed a roommate. He was writing for Crank Yankers. He said, "Hey, do you want to come out to LA? I got a place for you." So I did. I started working right away as a PA, and I wasn't doing bands, but I was really missing performing, so I started studying, taking some acting classes, some improv classes, and just went for it, kind of late in life.
Now, was it a big transition to go? Because, I mean, being up on stage doing anything has got to be difficult. If you're playing music, of course you love it, so it's, maybe easier, but was it a bigger transition from being on stage and performing and then, being on camera and performing?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely playing in a band is a lot more akin to doing live theater, where you get that immediate audience response, and you're breaking a sweat, and as you're performing, you're getting feedback. Acting for film and TV and auditioning is very different. A lot of time, you can go on 40 auditions and get almost no feedback, sense of how you're doing or if you're doing well or not. And on, people don't applaud after you're seen on set.
Right.
Cut, great, moving on. So you just have to sort of trust in the long ball process of it. Like it's gonna pay off down the line. And also the turnaround on film and TV projects is crazy. I mean, I've been doing Lost Planet for 3 years, and I'm only now seeing it. I worked on a film at the end of last year. Still haven't seen a minute of it. Short films, screen, and you get an email from the director, and you're like, I don't even remember making that. Whereas, as you're making a record, you can hear a single as you're making the record, and when you're performing with a band, and doing an improv show or doing a live theater, it's so much more immediate. It's not as cool, It's just it's a much longer haul. It's totally different process. And then, of course, I definitely got a sense of confidence and a stage presence from playing in rock and roll. I didn't have it when I first started. It's something I developed the more I played in rock and roll. Confidence, a bit of a swagger. But then you have to relearn all of that because it's always a new situation, a new emotion, a new character, a new surprise on set, Sorry, I'm looking at all your comic books on your wall.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people comment because I was like, man, I don't know what I was going to put in my office, and I was like, hey, why don't I put these comic books that I can't read anymore and don't plan to sell?
Right. I was trying to see if I recognized any because I had quite a collection myself back home. But I was more of a Marvel guy.
Yeah, most of these are from the 90s. That was really when I got into it, about I'd say 92 and beyond. So most of these are from that period. It was like when they came out with the anti-hero and then that's when
Yep.
like Youngblood and Image was brand new, and
Yep.
everybody had the #1. Almost all of these are #1, but they're like worth like 5 cents. It's so sad.
Yeah, most of my collection is I was actively collecting in the 80s, and the back issues I bought were 70s. So I've got stuff that was worth something at the time, like The Death of Phoenix, Chris Claremont and John Byrne.
Oh yes. Awesome.
The Frank Miller Wolverine limited series, the original 4 issues. And it seemed like anything John Byrne did was worth more than anything anybody else did. Like if he did a 10-issue run on Captain America, those 10 issues were worth more than all the others. I don't know if that's still the case because I don't really plan on selling, but. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, I got distracted.
Oh no, hey, listen, this is free form. I mean, I wrote down a bunch of things, and it's like there's a lot of things that I want to talk about. But actually, speaking of comic books, I know that you're a Marvel guy, but did you heard about the news about Ben Affleck going to be the next Batman? Like, what are your thoughts?
I saw a lot of reaction to that online, and I thought, well, that's got to be a joke. I mean, they already gave him Daredevil, and that bombed. I don't think it was as bad as everyone said, but.
The director's cut was better, but then again, you also had, you had the same person that played Green Lantern also played Deadpool, so I guess they were going with that.
Yeah.
You think maybe it was the Argo buzz that they gave it to him because of Argo?
Right. Yeah, and I guess Captain America was the Human Torch, so
yeah,
they're screwing around a bit. I mean, there's no darkness in Ben Affleck. There's no darkness there. He's married to Jennifer Garner. He makes mediocre movies, and everyone tells him he's the greatest thing that ever happened. He's mediocre. He's bland. He's always been mediocre and bland. And when he knows it, he's great. And when he tries to be something more, it's a disaster. I thought Argo was really heavy-handed.
Yeah.
And I thought he wasn't an engaging enough lead. Whatever. I mean, I'd work in one of his movies in a heartbeat, but
he's like, man, I was just about to hire this guy.
Yes.
That ain't happening.
I'll take that call. I'll take that call.
That's the Obsolete Gamer show. I'm so sorry.
But it was like, Clooney wasn't a great Batman because he's got darkness. Maybe he does in real life, but he doesn't on screen, and that's all that matters. Right. Batman is a damaged, freaky dude. With damaged, freaky villains,
I mean, a lot of geeks or whatever you want to call us, they think that Hollywood, basically does not care about the fan because they think that the fan is stupid. Some people actually said this is like a troll, like they picked him purposely to piss off the fan base because I guess they think they'll go anyway. They're like, oh, they're gonna go see this Batman anyway. So guess what, troll.
Right. Yeah, they'll go see it even just to badmouth it, but the rest of America will go see it because it's Ben Affleck.
Yeah, exactly.
So they win.
I know.
Win. Oh, it's a boring choice. It's not even a safe choice because it's not an obvious choice.
Yeah.
But it's not an unobvious choice that makes you go, wow, that's interesting.
Maybe if they were
an unobvious
splitting
choice that makes
Batman
you go, come on, Hollywood.
Yeah, maybe if they split Batman and they had him play maybe Bruce Wayne and someone else play Batman, maybe that could have worked. I don't know. Like, I actually didn't think Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne was bad. Actually, I thought he did Bruce Wayne well, but, Batman was like, eh. But,
yeah. I thought Christian Bale did a great job, obviously. I didn't think those movies were flawless, but I thought Christian Bale did a great job. But there are just so many other actors who have, like, a damaged, broken screen persona. That can really play. I mean, Batman's a psycho.
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least the Grant Morrison, the good ones, Killing Joke and Arkham Asylum. That stuff's dark, and Affleck is he's just not dark. Now,
I also read that along with Marvel Comics, you also love Star Wars and G.I. Joe, and I want to talk about G.I. Joe because I grew up in the late 80s, 90s. That was my main toy time, and I had all the G.I. Joes. Did you have like a favorite, or did you like collect a lot of them, or?
You know who was my favorite? Firefly, the Saboteur.
Yep.
Like gray and black camo, and he was one of the first to be able to do this.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? He was one of the first that I had that could do that. And I loved his gun. I don't remember what kind of gun. It wasn't quite an Uzi. I think it had a silencer on it. It had a long clip. I just thought it was the coolest, and you could really make him hold it properly. I thought it was just the coolest gun. I loved I loved Major Blood in the comics more than the action figure. I thought he was super cool in the comic book. And who was the Navajo parachutist? It was Spirit Iron Knife and...
It wasn't Apache, was it? Did he have another name?
No, it was just as racially offensive name. It wasn't that. He was like in the second series, same series as Firefly, which might have been the third series actually. I started from the beginning. I mean, I had Snake Eyes and Grunt, and the super boring ones that all looked exactly the same. Flash, right. Zap, Clutch. Although Clutch seemed to be cool somehow anyway. But they didn't. They just did this. They couldn't hold their guns properly. They had the same helmet. I had all those guys. Snake Eyes was the only cool one really in the first go around, and then they started getting more and more diverse. I like the Cobra guys better.
Oh yeah.
Even just the Cobra, so the Crimson Guard, the Cobra Guard, the Cobra soldiers were just cooler.
Yeah, everything about Cobra looked cooler. Oh yeah, I had the one where you had to like mail in and you had to wait 8 weeks for it. Could you imagine kids nowadays having to do that and wait 8 weeks?
Dude, I collected proof of purchases and mailed in to get Boba Fett.
Oh man!
And I got him right after some kid in I don't remember where, probably some Midwestern town. No diss, I'm from the Midwest. It used to be the bullet in the back used to actually launch, and like in any of the any of the old Namco Bandai toys. And some kid swallowed it and choked on. I don't know if he died or not. Hope not. Oh, but they recalled those and sent them out with the bullet, the missile in the back that did not launch. And I was like right on the cusp. Oh. And I got one that didn't launch, and I was like, oh man. I might have made that up, but it seems like it happened.
I actually remember a couple of things like that. I remember just with Ninja Turtles, which is a little bit later. I remember I liked Michelangelo with the nunchucks, and some kid took real nunchucks to school and hit someone, and they got hurt. And then that's why, if you ever notice in some of the later episodes of Turtles, he's using a grappling hook almost all the time, and it's because of that. And it's like, man, come on, guys. Don't ruin our childhood.
That sucks. Because I had all those, my family used to vacation down in Florida to get away from those Ohio winters, and I got like, I don't know what they're called now, but the die-cast metal robots like the Voltron one, and I had like Daltanius and some other one. I actually sold them to raise money to move out to LA on eBay. And all of them fired. And I was like, this is way cooler.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, I think it was probably Firefly, and I know I really heavily used the Native American dude. And Riptide. Riptide was cool. He had the gas mask. He also was a jumper. He had the gas mask that plugged into his thing, chest, and the parachute.
Now, as far as Lost Planet, it wasn't actually the first game that you did. You also did L.A. Noire, right?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it's funny because I get a lot of questions about voice acting, but really both games that I've done, I came to them as an actor. I auditioned for L.A. Noire, and I actually remember feeling like I'd done a really good audition, but I didn't get it. And then a friend of mine who is a sound designer, does a bunch of like Avengers cartoons and all superhero stuff. She was working on set for L.A. Noire, and they needed an extra body, literally just a guy in a suit, because they were like suiting up their sound guy, their boom mic guy, their PAs, because they just needed bodies. There were so many characters in that game. So I came in just to be an extra, and showed my competence, and they started handing me lines, they started handing me characters, and then it was just like I was the catch-all. It was like, Bill can do it. So there was a day where I was like a dozen different people, tons of different characters, dialogue. They'd throw me a 3-page scene as I was walking to set, like, we're going to shoot this in 5 minutes. You're officer whoever the hell. And you're like, whoa, Jesus. Or like, this guy can't be here today, so you're going to be this lead character, So I got to go toe-to-toe with all the actors on set. I got to meet, like, I don't know, over 100 actors in town. I was like the only guy who didn't book a role in L.A. Noire. But I got to be, I got to be there every day, 6 days a week for months and months, and got, I think it was 3 straight months. Got to know everybody really well, the directors, the producers, all the lead actors. Got to do stunts. Got called when they did reshoots to do stunts and play multiple characters, and got to really be able to say, there's nothing I can't do in a mocap suit. Like, I've been an old man, I've been a woman, I've shot, I've fallen off ladders, I've fallen off platforms. It's like there's nothing I haven't done in a mocap suit. So I am sure that was instrumental in having them look my way for Lost Planet.
And I read in some of the other interviews that you did about just how challenging the motion capture suit is. It isn't just putting it on and walking around like a leisurely day. You actually have to be,
Right.
Really, fit and able to handle all the different things that go along with that physically.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, first of all, you end up working out more if you're wearing a mocap suit because it's just a second skin. It doesn't hide a thing. So you're like, ugh, I better get to the gym. But it also, it's so tight that, it doesn't really breathe that much. And it's pulling on you all day. It's as tight as can be. So when you take it off, it's ugh. And Lost Planet added the camera, which was a lot of weight on your neck, so you're just constantly making adjustments, stretching your neck, stretching your lower back, especially if you're doing stunts, making sure you're hydrated because they got to turn off the air conditioning because we were doing live sound. We didn't do live sound on LA Noire. All the dialogue was recorded after the fact. We just did scratch dialogue. So, but everything that we said on the stage at Digital Domain for Lost Planet is what you hear in the game. So, the air conditioner had to be shut off. So you just got to make sure you're drinking a ton of water, stretching, taking your breaks when you can get them, especially if you're a lead character and you're not just popping in to do a scene or two. If someone else is doing a scene that you're not in, take that break. Sit down, relax, close your eyes, whatever it is. Because those are long days, and they're taxing on the head too. Because you're doing this as a lead character, you're doing 20, 24 pages of dialogue, and you're always talking. And you just got to be sharp. You gotta be off book. You only get a couple takes, and there's so many scenes that if you blow it out in the morning with a stunt or just not taking care of yourself, by the end of the day you got nothing left in the tank.
Yeah, you're just totally spent.
Yeah.
Now, as far as just getting into the role, because just like anything, I mean, if you're acting on screen or doing voice acting, you want to get into the role. How's it different, when you were going to be playing Jim Peyton, that you said to yourself, I'm going to bring X to the role so it sounds authentic coming across the games?
Thankfully, the writing was excellent, and I've been saying this from the beginning, and it's not just blowing smoke up the creators, derrieres. Jim was on the page. Like, I saw it from my very first audition. I was like, oh, I get this guy. I get what kind of guy this is. It was always on the page, and I just did a voiceover last week for a new trailer, which I won't spoil. But yeah, I hadn't done Peyton in months, and I got in and I was like, oh, there he is. It's on the page. Like, homespun mannerisms. There's a bit of an aw shucks. There's a bit of gravitas. There's a bit of the frontier cowboy. He's not as he's more responsible and loyal and considerate, which are actually. That's funny. Those are the three. My high school alma mater is responsibility, loyalty, consideration. Anyway, so you basically had to go to my high school to play Peyton. But I was going to say, more responsible, considerate, and loyal than your Han Solos or your Indiana Joneses or your Mals from Fireflies. But he definitely comes from that, like, semi-sarcastic, oh, great, here we go. Shut up, kid. He definitely comes from that kind of a pocket. That sort of very American, very, very Wild West. Shoulder shrugging. Here we go. Oh, brother. Yeah. So I always found it easy. Like, I always thought, like, oh boy, I've got to find Jim again. And then you look at the line, and you're like, oh, I just have to say this, and it'll be Jim. It'll come out twangier. It'll come out a little bigger. Jim's a thicker guy than me. He's a burlier guy than me. The beard, the big suit. It'll come out bigger.
What was the feedback that you've heard, like from people who've seen like the trailers and stuff like that? Like, how's it been, the reception?
It's been all over the map. I mean, the friends of mine who are just excited that I'm in something and aren't even necessarily gamers are obviously in family and stuff like that, and myself are just blown away because it's like, wow, that's me. That looks like me. That's really weird. So there's just the novelty of it, which never wears off for me or for my friends. The friends of mine who are gamers can't believe I get to be the lead in such a storied franchise, you know. And then as far as general public, I've been really proud of almost all the reviews mention Jim's likability, his humanity, you know, his that you root for him and that you get invested in his story even in a demo. And that's exactly what they set out to do from day one. And obviously that's what I would want to have happen for this character, with this character, and for the game. Not only just that they get what they wanted, but that people respond. Like, I just keep seeing the word likable, you know, and that feels great, obviously. So specifically the character, I think, is getting great response. I mean, of course, there's a lot of negativity on the internet, and it, it cracked me up. Like, there was a while where I was posting, he has a stupid face, or and it just cracked me up. My friends were like, "Oh, Bill, don't get upset. Don't get upset. There's a lot of negativity." I was like, "No, this is hilarious, man."
You just have to laugh.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you can't take the super positive stuff any more seriously either. You know, you just have to enjoy it for what it is. There's a lot of diehard Lost Planet 2 fans who are very upset about multiplayer and grappling hook and this. You know, a lot of people complaining it's not X-Troopers. Why can't we get X-Troopers? A lot of people saying 2 sucked, 1 was great, this doesn't look like either, it's Dead Space, blah, blah. You know, you haven't even played it, buddy. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, the complaints on the internet, I think that they come even before a game is announced. There's a complaint.
Way before. Yeah. Give us what we really want. Mega Man 6 or something, you know, whatever. And you just see the same comment again and again. You're like, oh, God, get over it. Like, it's fun. Give it a chance. It's fun to have a new game out. It's fun to have a new take. It's fun to have new developers, new voices, new stories, new characters. That's fun. Yeah, give it. Maybe the game doesn't work. Maybe the game isn't your thing. Maybe it's lacking what you liked in 1 or 2 or both. But it's fun that they're out there trying to tell these new stories. And I, as a fan, more as a fan of stories than as a fan of games, I'm getting there with games, but I'm much more a consumer of story. The story is just epic. It's just a saga. And it's really engaging, and the more distance I have from it, the more I can see how it all ties in together and where it ends up, the more I'm like, wow, these guys didn't pull any punches. They didn't pull any punches. It's just a hard, brutal, very emotional story.
And I think that's what you have. Of course, you're going to have a wide range of different gamers. You know, you're going to have people that are really young, and then you have people that are older. And I think that as you start to get older, sure, you still like just a shoot 'em up or whatever, but the story does become more important. It's just like movies. You can like an action movie, but then you find yourself starting to watch something that's more character-driven. And I think that games that have that, where you can actually feel a connection with the character, ends up being a much better experience overall.
Yeah, and particularly, and this again was deliberate, particularly when the character is actually accessible. This guy is a father. He's a father with a job, a kind of crappy, hard labor job. You know, he's not a faceless Marine. He's not a mask. He's not a killing machine. He's not, you know, he's not just some like enduro tough guy. He just got a gig, you know. And, you know, he's kind of a lone wolf with a gig who just really desperately needs to provide for his family. And that makes the stakes so much higher. Because you're playing the game and you're like, oh, wait, oh, shit, I just died. Oh, well, now my son's going to die. Great. I've killed my son. I've killed my wife. I've left her behind. You know, like if you get invested in the meat and potatoes of the character, the stakes just go way high because you're not just letting yourself down. You're letting Nevek down, you're letting your coworkers down, you're letting your family down. It's like, oh God, what have I done?
Now, I also saw that you have gone to a lot of conventions too, like Comic-Con and stuff like that. You know, how do you like dealing with that side? Because it's funny, because I actually like to pay attention to what people say when they go to a comic convention. Because I'm not saying that you have to sit there and say, oh, it's perfect. I've been to these. I know that there's people that bug the hell out of you and you want to slap them. But at the same time, you understand that they're the same fans as you would meet like a sports fan. You know, and it seems like sometimes with Comic-Con, people want to put down so much the people that go there. Like, oh, these guys are nothing, whatever, blah, blah. But these are the guys that's probably going to make your game, your movie, whatever, a blockbuster or a failure.
Right. I'll tell you, I would have loved more interaction with fans. I didn't, I didn't go to Comic-Con or E3 necessarily. Like, I wasn't going to do signings or meet and greets, which I would have loved to have done. I was just going to be there because I wanted to see the booth, and I wanted to, participate while I could in whatever capacity I could. And these are things that I've been to Comic-Con as a fan because I'm a Joss Whedon guy, I'm a Marvel Comics guy, I'm a Star Wars guy. Like, why would I not go to Comic-Con?
Exactly.
And to get to go feeling more like I'm here in a professional capacity, that was just great. It was just such a good feeling. Like, not only am I a fan of these worlds, but I get to participate in the making of them. And that I hope to get to do that every year. I mean, I hope there's always a game or a project or a film or a something that I'm a part of, that I can go and participate. I love one-on-one interaction with anybody. I mean, everybody loves their privacy, of course, but I'll talk to anybody. I'm easygoing. I'll talk to anybody about anything, So I would have loved more fan interaction, and hopefully, if the game does well and has legs, I'm around. I'll say yes. I'd love to go see Seattle. I'd love to travel. Love to go back to San Diego, Seattle, New York, Cologne. Bring it on,
Is there like either in a game or maybe in like an animation or something, is there a character that you'd always wanted to be able to voice act?
Great question. I mean, as a lifelong fan, of course, I want in on the Star Wars universe, whether it's just a video game, not just, but a video game, or I guess Clone Wars isn't going anymore, but the new, they're not prequels, whatever, the new generation, the J.J. Abrams iteration of Star Wars. I mean, I'd love to be a stormtrooper even. That would be the greatest thing in the world. What a legacy to get to be a part of. That's a world I want in on. Preferably a bad guy. That would be fun. I'm trying to think of what other world that's out there. I mean, Assassin's Creed is so well done.
Yeah.
And I love the period piece nature of it. That.
What about if they made like a Marvel type show that had like all the characters show up at some time in the series? Is there like a character in the Marvel universe that you would say, I want to voice that?
I always grew up figuring I'd end up being Wolverine somehow.
That'd be cool.
But there have been some people who've done such a good job with him that, I don't think about that as much anymore. But God, I love that character. I'm trying to think. I should have a great answer for this because there's so many characters that I've loved. I mean, definitely the X universe was the one I was the most deeply into, and like Alpha Flight, X Factor, Excalibur, even. Longshot was a great character.
Yep.
Was he Australian? I don't have a good Australian accent.
That I'm not sure.
No, he wasn't Australian. He was an alien with a really bad mullet. But he was a cool character because he was kind of crazy. He was almost like Howlin' Mad Murdoch from the A-Team. I would love to be that character. I don't know if he's even still around. Remember the whole Mojo universe?
Yep.
Or Mojoverse or whatever? Art Adams, I think, was the artist who was bringing all that to life. He had those really detailed, inky drawings. He was hot when I was reading comics. Longshot would be great. I always loved Cannonball in New Mutants. I don't know if he ever graduated to the X-Men or not, but
he actually ended up in X-Force. He was one of the main characters in there.
Yeah. Cable is pretty dope.
Oh yeah, Cable's awesome.
Yeah.
I think they could make a Cable movie and it would do well. Even though you would think that people don't know it, he's just so cool. And time travel and all that.
He's really cool. Yeah, and that whole yeah. Oh, I had to remember. Yeah, when Jean Grey and Scott Summers had a kid, and it was a son, and the woman who was young Phoenix, with the red hair, who was from the future, she freaked out because it meant that she would never be born in this time universe or whatever. Yeah, those are great storylines, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
I miss that they don't really make more of the animation shows. I mean, I kind of thought that it'd be great if they could take the comic book and just start making cartoons based on comic stories. I think
yeah,
that that would work instead of having to like change it and adapt it for TV. Maybe some things
start from scratch.
because of kids, but you could edit out anything that might be a little bit, too
There were
mature
great
for kids.
storylines in the New Mutants. Anything Chris Claremont did, he was a brilliant storyteller. Um, I mean, Daredevil is one of my favorites. Daredevil and the Punisher are characters I've always loved. I don't. I'd have to voice the Punisher. I wouldn't have the body for it, but
Well, just think
those are
if you did Daredevil, then Ben Affleck wouldn't have, and then maybe they'd give him more of a chance now.
right. I like Daredevil, man, because he's one of those characters like Peyton, who just gets put through the ringer. Like writers just love to torture Daredevil and just strip him away of everything and see if he can still keep going. And I love that. I love seeing that, seeing what a character's really made of. That's what I love so much about looking back on Jim Peyton. It's like, wow, we were just doing one scene at a time, but when you look back on it, the amount of stuff that he goes through and tries to, hold on to his worldview and his loyalties and his priorities, it's heartbreaking.
Now, in the gamer profile that we put up, I know you talked about Atari 2600 Warlords, and of course, since we're Obsolete Gamer, we love classic gaming. But is there other games that you were into, growing up, and maybe even that you still play today? I mean, I know you're busy, so it's probably not a ton of games, but is there something that you say, hey, I'm going to take some time and play this?
I can't wait to try Uncharted 3. I got the PlayStation package with that, and I haven't had a chance to fire that up. I don't have a copy of Lost Planet yet, so that'll probably be the first thing I dive into. I've played around with L.A. Noire, but I haven't finished it, and I definitely want to do that because it's like, oh, I remember him. Oh, I remember doing that. Oh, that's me. So I definitely want to dig in with that. I came up in the world of arcades, so I loved Cobra Command. It was one of those animated video games. I loved that game. I loved. I was never good at Arkanoid, but that was a fun one. I'm a big pinball guy, so I love Medieval Madness. Theater Magic is my favorite. If I could have any machine in my apartment, it'd be Theater Magic. Funhouse. Trying to think what else we spent. Spy Hunter.
Oh yes, Spy Hunter. I especially love the version when you actually could sit in the car. That was like the best.
Yes. And there was another one, I hesitate to bring it up because I don't remember the name, but there was one, a sit-in racing one where you could, it was a space race thing, and you could do all of this stuff and lasers, and I dropped a lot of coin on that. I loved all the Time Crisis games. When I was homesick living in Ireland, I found an arcade that had that Star Wars machine that you sit in, and you can play like Star Wars, Battle of Yavin, the Hoth, the Invasion or whatever they called it, and the Endor. You could basically play each of the three classic Star Wars movies, and at the end of each, you battle Boba Fett, and then you battle Darth Vader. That one, I got to the point where on one coin I could get all the way through. I could get through all three levels and beat Darth Vader and Boba Fett and get to that last level, which was just ridiculously impossible. But I could, on one coin, I could play for 30, 35 minutes.
Awesome. So, did I read this right that you body double for Nick Cage?
Yeah.
What was that?
Yep. That was a fun gig. I was pretty new to acting, not new to set, but pretty new to acting. And I just saw online they were looking for somebody, and they listed all the height, weight. That's me. So I submitted, and it actually paid really well. I ended up doing it for like 10 days. Huge set. I mean, it was the movie Next with Julianne Moore and Jessica Biel, and big, huge set. And I guess the bit was it's Philip K. Dick, I think, so he can see 30 seconds in the future or something like that, or maybe even less. So he would be in a situation, and he would imagine if he went here, 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 or here, all the different things that would happen to him. So they had an actor who could go to each of those different places. There were like 10 of us dressed all the same with our hair slicked back and painted black, and it was really
Oh
weird.
man, see that I remember that scene. There's a scene where he's in the warehouse, and I think he's
Yep.
being chased, and then they just show him going like a bunch of different. I just thought that was CGI. That's really
It
awesome.
might have been. They might have just used us for physical placement, or replaced the ones that needed to be replaced because they were obviously not him. But we were doing that for days, and then I ended up on the B camera, or what do you call it? Second unit, where like the main director and actors are one place, and another unit is shooting pickups and inserts and all this other stuff. I ended up being his actual stand-in. It was super awkward the first morning I was a stand-in. There's a shot in the trailer, this crane shot that just lifts up from the bed, and he and Jessica Biel are laying in bed together. So the very first morning I was his body double. They were like, okay, take your shirt off, hop in bed, and she'll lie on your chest. And there was the Jessica Biel body double, and it was like, hey, morning. And we laid there for like an hour and a half while they were lighting and practicing the camera move, you know. Oh God, was that awkward.
I admit I like the behind the scenes stuff. Actually, you're also a writer too, right?
I am, yeah.
Awesome.
I've been. I have to get back on that horse because I've been so busy juggling other things. I'm trying to do a little bit of everything, which I don't necessarily recommend. But I did write. I co-wrote a feature that I'll be directing next year. That's got Comic-Con written all over it. So, you know, we're working with some of the stop-motion animators from Robot Chicken, and we've got some puppetry and, you know, in-camera optical effects, and we're referencing Labyrinth and Charlie Kaufman and Gondry and Henson, you know, the Goonies, all the good stuff. Time Bandits. We're kind of in that world. So I co-wrote that feature, and then I wrote a comedy pilot about a rock band because I still like rock music and the world of bands. And actually produced and shot like a 3.5-minute teaser version of that, and I got to do a bunch of stunts, and there's some gunplay and stuff like that. It's a rock band, but there's also an action element to it. It's a comedy. And that I need to do a little bit more writing on, and we're dusting that up and pitching that around Hollywood in the next few months. So yeah, I'm trying to do everything. I used to host and produce and direct a vaudeville show, a live comedy vaudeville show.
Oh wow, nice.
You know, with a lot of like stunts and physical comedy and a great pie fight. Oh, it was a good pie fight.
Like a Three Stooges epic pie fight style.
Very, very Three Stooges, very epic.
Nice.
It was took us 3-4 hours to clean up, but it was worth it.
And you also do a podcast, correct?
Yeah, I do I always forget that. I do the Smodcoast Morning Show on Tuesday mornings through Kevin Smith's, you know, Smodcast network. Almost every Tuesday. The show goes every Tuesday. I'm not always there, but I'm there about 90% of the time. I actually came up in college. I came up in radio, so I love being behind the mic, which helps obviously for the voiceover career too.
As a writer myself, I like being behind the scenes and seeing what's going on about stories and stuff like that. Do you have any like story or anything funny, whether it's voice acting, you know, screen acting, anything that would, you know, be cool for us to hear?
Huh.
Like when you were laying on the body double, like when she was laying on you, did she talk? Like, did you guys talk, or are you just like there for a half hour quiet?
I nailed it. It was super awkward. It was early in the morning, you know, so you're kind of foggy. And early in the morning on set is like 6:37 in the morning. We're out in Long Beach or something like that. It's miles away. Or we might have been on the Universal lot by then. Anyway, point being, I remembered this scene from Love Actually, you know, the British romantic comedy, Christmas movie. And Martin Freeman, one of my favorite actors, is a porn body double. So like he's always in this awkward situation, naked with this woman, and they're always talking about really mundane things, even having to sort of act out some sex scenes, not actually have sex, but just like these really awkward. They put them through these just horribly awkward situations, and it's really, really funny. So it was the first thing I thought of. So like she lays across my chest, and I was like, have you ever seen Love Actually? And she goes, oh my God, that's my favorite movie. I was just thinking the same thing. And like right from there in, we were just laughing, and the ice was broken, and it was like, okay, this will be fine. But man, that could have gone either way.
I mean, a lot of time you're just there, right? Like, I mean, people sometimes get an idea that it's like, this romantic version. Of course, if you love what you do, it's great. But there's a lot of times where you're just there, standing around waiting. But if you have the right personality, you can make it work, right?
Yeah, well, even the best job in the world, the best acting job in the world, involves a ton of downtime. So you either have to be good at taking care of yourself. You have to have a book that you're engaged in. You have to be able to parcel out your energy. One of my first jobs, it was working for free for an up-and-comer, and I'll never make this mistake again. I wasted all my energy like being social, joking with people, laughing with people, getting trying to be on, because it was a comedy spot. And by the time we were shooting my stuff, I was exhausted. I mean, it didn't help that I had a 6 a.m. call time, even though I wasn't needed until 11. So it's like I got no sleep and was burned out by the time I was put on camera.
Oh,
if I'm not going to be used till 11, call me in at 10. I could use those 4 hours. But that was a lesson I learned the hard way. There's so much downtime. You got to be careful with your energy. But you also want to have fun. You're always juggling it, because you want to make friends, you want to meet people, you want to be outgoing, but you also, if I got 20 pages of dialogue, I may just sit by myself in the corner for an hour, and that's going to have to be okay, I was also Larry David's body double, stand-in and body double. I was a key set PA for a season of Curb, and I happened to be the same or similar enough height and body type that they always just tossed me in when they were doing a lighting scheme. And we get to pretty first name basis, and it was the season where he dies or temporarily dies and was lifted up into heaven. And for that, they were testing all these fly harnesses, which are not the most comfortable things in the world.
I can bet.
And so I spent a whole day testing out different fly harnesses for Larry, so we figured out which one he was going to use. And I remember him coming out of the studio after having been in the fly harness. And he was like, I don't know how you do it, Bill. I was like, turns out the road to heaven is hard on the nuts, huh, LD? It was fun.
So you're originally from Cleveland, right?
Yes, sir.
So do you still, when you move out to LA, do you, become all-encompassing in LA? Do you end up liking the teams, or, as far as sports and everything? Or is it more like, I'm actually from here, I'm just here for work?
Right. It's taken a while. I've seen a lot of people who come out here and, they root for the Cubs, and, they're complaining that the hot dogs aren't as good as Chicago and the pizza's not as... Well, it's not fucking Chicago, is it? We're not in Chicago. Get over it. It also doesn't snow 6 months of the year, so shut up. Get engaged. Everyone having any past, not having any center, not having an identity. They're not trying, man. Go to a Dodgers game and tell me this town doesn't have character and personality. I live in the historic core of downtown. You're telling me there's no city center? You're telling me there's no history? I'm surrounded by the most gorgeous Art Deco buildings I've ever seen in my life, And that all the picture palaces from the turn of the century are being rehabbed and reopened and showing vintage films and live entertainment. You just don't know what you're talking. You're not trying. You're trying to recreate home out here, and you're not getting engaged as a citizen of Los Angeles. You're not actually enjoying LA for LA. You're just here for what you came to get from it. Well, what are you giving it? Sorry, I get pissed off about this. But I will say, in recent years, I've definitely gotten more into the teams. It's great because I'm an Indians fan. Dodgers are National League, so there's no direct conflict. So I can root for the Dodgers without feeling like I'm turning my back. And there was a stretch where the Dodgers had Casey Blake, Manny Ramirez, not Paul Sorrento, but they 3 or 4, maybe even 5 former Indians. So I would go. Oh, they had Tomey. So I'd go to the games and be like, I've been rooting for these guys for years. Actually, I have tickets the night the game drops. I got really nice seats to see the Dodgers. And I like the Clippers because I ain't gonna root for the Lakers. But I always like an underdog, so I'll take the Clippers. And they.
Well, I have to ask then, since we're based in Miami and you're from Cleveland, did you have any opinion on the whole LeBron thing?
You're my, you're
Because
Miami.
I can just do a little move. You see the James shirt back there? See that?
I do. I just got pissed off. Look, I left Cleveland. Of course he left Cleveland. I expected him to leave Cleveland. I will say I was listening to the ESPN special in the car. I pulled over and I cried a little bit. It hurt a lot. Like, we were so proud to have someone from Cleveland playing for Cleveland. It was so exciting to be in LA and see billboards for Sprite and it said Cleveland on his jersey. You know, that really meant the world to me. And to a lot of people. Did I expect him to stay in Cleveland? No. Do I think it would have been an incredible thing to do to stay and bring a championship to the city? Of course. Of course. He would have been lionized forever. But he will be in Miami, too, and he is the greatest player in the NBA, so he should go wherever he wants to go, and he should have fistfuls of rings, you know. I'm glad for the organizations that got the money that he made doing that special. But if you think you can, I mean, especially being from there, if you think you can publicly embarrass a city that's that proud and that has had that many blows and is that passionate about its sports, if you think you can publicly humiliate them and not have a backlash, that's just ignorant. It's just ignorant. You know, I'm not proud of people burning his jerseys. I'm not proud of Dan Gilbert's, you know, font heard around the world. I'm not proud of any of that. But what do you want, man? You gave us the middle finger on national television. What did you expect?
Yeah, I mean,
That
even though I was happy, I was happy about it, and then I thought about it, because I'm originally from Chicago, and I just thought, man, if that was me, I would totally be upset about how it was done. You know, if he did it quietly.
And you lose some championships.
Yeah, so.
I mean, we've got, you know, the Browns have never won a Super Bowl. They were dominant until Jim Brown left and they started having Super Bowls. The Tribe hasn't won a series since the 40s, I think. Cavs never, you know, been to the finals that one time, never, and we were swept. You know, the town is never. It's a proud city that lives vicariously through its sports. A very blue-collar town, and it's never had a championship. Thankfully, I was at one of the World Series games that Oral Hershiser pitched that we won against the Braves, so I've seen the city celebrate when it's, you know, got a national victory under its belt, and it was incredible. I'll never forget it. And we didn't win. We lost the series. But, you know, it's just, what did you expect, man? And, you know, everybody's been talking about LeBron James's legacy for years. I'll be honest, the first time I ever heard anyone mention his legacy was LeBron talking about himself. Like, I have to think about my legacy. It's like, don't you have to think about winning ball games?
Yeah.
You know, don't you have to think about, like, getting your teammates engaged? Like, what are you talking about legacy? Like, win, just win. That'll be your legacy. Your work speaks for itself. You know, you don't have to talk about your legacy all the time. And then once he started talking about it all the time, every talking head on ESPN is talking about it all. I'm so sick of hearing about LeBron James's legacy. I watched Jordan play against the Cavs in playoff games. I got my heart broken when Elo went down and Jordan got that game-winning shot. You know, I wasn't at that game, but I was at a game in that series, one of the ones that we won. You know, I watched Jordan play for years. He didn't talk about his legacy. What? I don't know. Whatever. Sour grapes. I wish.
I hear the passion and I understand.
I mean, I wish we had him. I wish we were hanging banners. You know, it was very exciting to have him for as long as we did, and it was very exciting. You know, it was weird. It's like the Black Keys were blowing up out of Akron. We got Chrissy Hind and Devo, and we got LeBron James. You know, plays here, stays here. You know, it was raised here, plays here, stays here. I think was the line. It was very fun. It was fun to be relevant as a basketball town. It was fun to be relevant on a national stage and hear the name Cleveland talked about all the time in a positive light. You know, now they talk about it all the time. You know, every time we get anywhere in any sort of sporting event, they just show the highlight reel of the drive, the fumble, the shot, the meltdown against the Marlins in the 9th inning of Game 7. You know, they just show. It's like, oh God, we get it. We remember. We were there. You know.
Is there, as far as screen acting, is there someone that if you could pick anyone to work with on screen, who would that be? And don't say Ben Affleck because now that ain't happening. No, just kidding.
I want to be Robin. It's funny. A lot of my screen idols are old timers. Like I love westerns and film noir. So a lot of the guys that I like, the Bogarts and the Steve McQueens and the James Coburns and Lee Marvins. A lot of the guys I love are dead. But I will say I'm working as a director. He's directing. I'm working with Clint Eastwood next week, and I'm extremely excited for that. Obviously, as a fan of westerns. I got a long list of directors I really want to work with. I don't know how to say his name, but the South African guy, Charlto or Charlto Copley from District 9 and Elysium.
Oh, okay.
I want to work with that guy. I want to work with that guy. He's fascinating. I love Idris Elba. I love Matt Smith, Doctor Who. Love him. Love him. The guys from the Mighty Boosh. Either of those guys. It's a super bizarre British comedy duo that just kill me. Brendan Gleeson. These are all British. I love Brendan Gleeson. He can literally do anything, any accent, any character. He was Mel Gibson's Scottish tough guy best friend in Braveheart, and within a year he was this it's kind of hinted at that he's gay, really fey, wimpy Dublin guy in a pub. You're like, that's the same guy? Jesus. Who's knocking me out on TV? John Hamm is great. John Hamm is great.
Madman's awesome.
Yeah. I love Richard Schiff. I'm watching West Wing now.
Great series.
He's good. He's
you watch
so
the
good.
Newsroom as well, or not yet?
His hand on his head, and he says things like this. I really like him. I haven't gotten into Newsroom yet. I actually don't have HBO right now. I have enough that I want to see backlogged that I haven't felt the pressure to stay. I should be more current as an actor. You should always be seeing whatever's new and now. So I do watch clips of everything. So I've seen that great monologue, worst period, generation period ever. I've seen the monologue, and
yeah.
I'm not ignorant of what's out there. But when it comes to actually ingesting series, I'm still catching up with some of the classics and haven't hit Newsroom. But God, to do a Sorkin walk and talk, we did a little Sorkin. Matt Sophos, one of the key minds behind Lost Planet 3, is a huge Sorkin fan, and we did a walk and talk. And I was like, "This is Sorkin, isn't it?" He goes, "Yeah." Got it. Nice. I know exactly what to do.
All right. So last question. I read because the reason why I was surprised, I kind of had a feeling that you might have picked Warlords because I saw an interview where you talked about Warlords drinking game. So I want to know about that. What is the Warlords Atari 2600 Warlords drinking game?
I miss you so much. The thing, I was just explaining this to someone earlier, the thing about Warlords, it's a great four-person game if you get the four paddles going. Yeah. It's great for shit-talking, and it's so, when you nail somebody, and the screen flashes, you're like, got you! It's just it's so brutal. It's great for talking shit. But it's not really that fair because at least two of the four characters in the game are inferior, just the way it's designed. If you're the purple guy, you can't win. You cannot win the tournament if you're the purple guy. He's too slow. He's too susceptible to the offbeat attacks. How there's one position in Warlords where it just Pong. I don't know if I can do it. It zoop, like that. Yeah. It doesn't go by the normal rules of Pong. It just curves. And you can't defend it if you're the purple guy. So we played it in the tournament style where whoever won each round, had to put back a ton of bourbon, or whatever your liquor of choice was, just to try to level out the playing field. Because otherwise, whoever gets the brown or green guy is going to win every time. So it was just trying to knock those guys down a peg so that the purple guy at least had a chance at winning a round or two. So he'd be like, wait, what?
Awesome.
But it's not just a shot. Like, if you win the round, you can't just do a shot. That's nothing. It had to be like a glass.
Oh, man. So what,
Yeah.
2-3 games you guys are like just hanging on to your controllers or your keyboards trying to play?
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, we usually didn't make it through more than 2 full tournament rounds before somebody was like, "I'm out."
They'll be playing from the bathroom like, oh.
Yeah, if you were the upper left corner, you still had a shot, even from the bathroom.
Awesome. Hey, well, I just wanted to say that it was great, having you on talking about all these different things. I mean, I know that a lot of people that are into the game, they especially into Lost Planet, they already have seen a lot of, the game, and they've already read your interviews and stuff like that. So I was hoping to bring a little something more, stretch a bunch of different topics, and it's been a great experience. I've had a lot of fun.
It was really fun for me too. And call me anytime. Hopefully, I'll have more stuff going on that we can talk about because this is a blast.
Oh, definitely, definitely. We'd be proud to have you back on the show at any time. But for everyone that was watching, I just want to thank you guys for watching our show this week. It'll be up on our YouTube page, so you can watch it again at any time, and we'll also be sending out the podcast version very soon. I want to thank again William Watterson for coming on and talking with us. It was a great time.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next time. Never stop gaming.